Okay, you could begin.
All right, so I could just share my screen, right?
Yes, go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah, everybody's seeing it.
Yes, we are. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, good evening, class. Sir. My name is Jovan Samuel, and I'll be presenting the chapter Leading with Integrity and Moral Purpose. Myself and Ms. Joyce. All right, so this chapter will include a discussion of the process and creating and sustaining ethical organizational environments, an analysis of the moral dimensions of transforming leadership theory, and an examination of the ethical influences that participants have on their organizations through behavior modeling. All right, so consider the scenario, right? You recently started working at KFC. There's rules to follow, like you learn all of that in a training period. Employees are not to carry any food from the store unless they purchase it after their shift, right? However, it have some food that have like a shelf life because it's fast food, right? So after a certain amount of time, you have to throw away the food. So you notice that some of the employees, like after the popcorn chicken passes 15 minutes, you have to throw it out. You notice that some of them put it into their bags and stuff to carry home. You as a individual, how would you treat with the situation? That's a question for anybody. A little bit rational at once.
You could report them.
All right. Okay, so you could report them, but you know, you like it's not just one of them doing it, it's a few of them, and you just now come here. Okay, so there are several strategies and interventions can be used to create and maintain an ethical climate in a group or organizational setting. The process of doing so should be intentional and include all elements of the relational leadership model and the dimensions of knowing, being, doing. So, I think I'm gonna mix up here the slides. Okay. Creating and sustaining an ethical organizational environment. Nash 1990 proposes 4 qualities that are necessary for participants to advance ethical standards in an organization. And the 4 qualities are seen here, right? Critical thinking skills to analyze and convey the ethical components of a problem or dilemma. A high degree of integrity to stand up for your personal and professional ethics. The ability to see situations from other perspectives, showing concern for others. Personal motivation to do the right thing. So like in that situation, you have the persons that taking the food, but the food was going on through anyway, you know, so, but at the same time, is against the company's standards to do that. Some challenges faced when using these ethical decision-making models and principles. You have to prepare to receive criticism, prepare to have members revolt, and prepare to experience a decline in membership. Not everyone will be on the same page, but you cannot please everyone. As a leader, you'll be faced with dilemmas, and it's your responsibility to do what is right, even at the expense of the favor of others. Having personal courage is of utmost importance when trying to make the right decision for the good of an organization. Oh, this is that part. Strategies used to create an ethical climate should be intentional and include all elements of the relational leadership model and dimensions of knowing, being, doing. This is just to refresh the relational leadership model: purposeful, inclusive, empowering, ethical, and process-oriented. Knowing, being, doing. The leadership process calls for those engaged in it to be knowledgeable, to be aware of self and others, and to act. Right. Now, in dealing with these challenges, it will help if all participants should feel equally empowered. The organization's missions or the group's common purpose should be the driving force for identifying its values. Participants should identify and operate from a set of core values that guide the organization's activities, actions, and decisions. These core values will enable individuals to work toward a common purpose and provide a common understanding of the organization's principles and standards. Members are empowered to hold each other accountable, participate in moral talk or dialogue, and work together to sustain an ethical environment. Appointing one person to be a group's ethicist or standard bearer will not achieve the same ethical climate as when all participants are concerned with doing what's right. So if you could get everybody on the same page to have the, well, not just personal courage, but be driven to do what is right as far as your moral values as well as the company or organization's standards, it will make easier for everyone to be able to have a high sense of integrity. It may be counterproductive for a leader to handle ethical dilemmas alone or in isolation from other members of the organization. So if a leader just making decisions without feedback, it could actually turn out to be counterproductive, because you could have the leader wanting one thing and all the followers, the members, think otherwise, like the opposite of what the leader is thinking. So he just making a decision according to, let me just say, the books, like, and it have easier ways that things could get done. Effectiveness versus ethics. Kellerman and Lipman Blumen address the notion of bad or toxic leaders and their resulting negative consequences. Kellerman divides bad leadership into two categories: bad as ineffective and bad as in unethical. So, let's say, for example, you work at Subway, right? I'm bringing up all these fast food references because I said with KFC. For example, you work at Subway and you have to prepare one sandwich at a time, right? And according to the company's standards, you have to change gloves after preparing each sandwich. So, like, if one customer wants 2 sandwiches, you have to prepare one with this pair of gloves. Change your pair of gloves before you prepare this other one, right? So you have, it's lunchtime, you're in town, everybody was Subway, that was special. How you're going on, the length of time it would take for you to be changing these gloves for every sandwich, it reduces the efficiency, because you had to stop to change the gloves, and it's the same customer you're dealing with, the same person ordering sandwiches. So you're violating company standards, but you're doing it to be more productive, to be more efficient. So that's a dilemma you face with again. All right, so examples of behaviors and traits associated with toxic leaders: leaving their followers worse off than they found them, violating the basic standards of human rights of their own supporters as well as of those of other individuals and groups they do not count among their followers, consciously feeding their followers illusions that enhance the leader's power and impair the followers' capacity to act independently. For example, persuading followers that the leader is the only one that can save them or the organization. Playing to the basis, fears, and needs of the followers, misleading followers through deliberate untruths and misdiagnosis of issues and problems. Insatiable ambition that prompts leaders to put their own sustained power, glory, and fortunes above their followers' well-being. Enormous egos that blind leaders to the shortcomings of their own character and thus limit their capacity for self-renewal. Reckless disregard for the course of their actions to others as well as themselves. Cowardice that leads them to shrink from the difficult choices. All right, so what is rewarded and recognized often teaches others about what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior within an organization. So, for example, you have like a employee of the month award. You have rewards such as like phone cards, free meals, movie tickets. And on the other side of the award continuum, unethical behavior should be addressed, but in a different manner. Public humiliation was a practice commonly used in the past to confront and punish violators of law or ethical standards. But this may not be effective in all situations. Public humiliation, that's because, for example, they say public humiliation, a gang leader, a leader in the community. Sorry, not a gang leader, a community leader. It will be kind of difficult to publicly humiliate a gang leader, even though you're doing the wrong thing as a person that does give back to the community. So trying to publicly, you're kind of defeating the purpose of humiliating them because you're not getting through to that point. Because people are going and go live on Instagram and talk nonsense either way. Participants have the shared responsibility of confronting individuals who violate the organization's standards and practices. Some organizations lack a positive ethical environment because leaders and participants are not committed to moral orientation. These types of organizations may in fact reward unethical behavior because it's seen as improving the organization. Example of this is, again, in KFC. So like, you frying fries, but it have plenty customers waiting for fries. So you have a certain amount of time to fry the fries as far as the standard of the organization, but you think that, all right, 15 seconds short, it will be a little quicker. So you just start frying it when you feel like the fries cook, you know? So this type of organizational environment would support shortcuts, poor quality work, cover-ups, and a lack of personal responsibility for mistakes or problems. In dealing with a problem which has moral or ethical implications, it is better to involve others in the decision-making process. This allows for members to feel empowered and equally responsible for upholding the organization values. Our organization's mission or group's common purpose should be the driving force for identifying its values. So participants should have a set of like mutual values that underpin their activities, actions, and decisions. So you have moral purpose as an act of courage. Minion McLaughlin describes moral courage as the engine of integrity. Sorry. It is in a voice that coaxes, prods, and inspires us to meet our responsibilities and live up to our principles when doing so may cost us daily. Kidder describes moral courage as the quality of mind and spirit that enables one to face up to ethical challenges firmly and confidently without flinching or retreating. Right? So, it have this gas station, for example. It's have they're selling fuel more expensive than it is. So like they're taking 5 cents extra on every liter. This actually happened. I don't recall if it was 5 cents on every liter or 5 cents on every dollar. So this information is privy to you. Like you accidentally come up with this information. It was accidentally shared in your presence, right? You discover, you do some investigation, you discover that it's actually true because you just full gas there too. But you're working there. So you're faced with the dilemma that if you take a stand against this, it will result in basically you could not have a job because this is where you work and obviously they would take some. I feel like I'm not interacting with anybody. If anybody would like if you saw the situation, what do you think would be your response to it?
So you're asking if I was in the situation, what I would do?
Yeah.
Well, personally, this might be the right thing to do, but I would report the situation because it's not following company standards and it robbing basically all the regular people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Out here hard. I feel like if you're being real, you can leave that situation as is because you already like that can leave you without a job. And then what? You gotta go and look for something. What you gonna do in the meanwhile? And you could always find somewhere else to fill gas. Right, so for reporting this incident, you wouldn't just be ridiculed, but you also inconveniencing yourself. So what's this? Right, so having awareness of danger is key to in possessing moral courage. A willingness to endure some type of hardship, such as losing a job, losing friends, is a component of moral courage. The opposite would be doing nothing, saying nothing, or turning away when faced with ethical dilemmas. Upholding one's principles and putting them into action allows leaders to operate with moral courage. So these are some assumptions about ethical leadership. There are many myths and misunderstandings about good leadership, leadership that is both ethical and effective. Lucas and Anello propose 8 assumptions about ethical leadership, which are central themes in the study and practice of ethical leadership. Ethics is the heart of leadership. The means do justify the ends of leading with integrity. So there's not just the end of the tunnel, there's the journey through the tunnel. All leadership is values driven. It's more than just getting the job done, but about getting it done the right way. Personal values intersect with organizational values. So, in a perfect world, the employees don't have to just accept the organizational values, but their personal values will encourage them to follow it as well as upkeep them. That ethical leadership can be learned. Life experiences you gain over time affect your development and as an ethical leader. Trial and error experiences can sharpen your ethical analysis. Ethical leadership involves a connection between ethical thought and action. So linking moral reasoning with values and actions is an imperative part. It's imperative in leadership. Character development is an essential ingredient of ethical leadership. So you need to be the change you want to see in your organization. You can't be a late comer. You can't be somebody that always showing up within a 15-minute grace period. You're always a few minutes late, but you want to tell somebody else, hey, you are reached work on time. Character development is an essential ingredient of ethical leadership. Oh, it's I read that part already. Ethical leadership is a shared process. Leaders and participants are like shared the responsibility of advancing core organizational values and doing the right thing. Members often are called upon to be courageous and to advocate for what is right, despite risks such as losing the job or alienating friends. Organizations that are empowering and inclusive involve members in wrestling with ethical dilemmas and seek their advice on how to resolve problems. Everything we do teaches. So role modeling is a powerful way to influence the ethical climate in organizations and communities, even in your families. We learn from by watching others, and we make judgments about what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior in organizations. Leading with moral purpose calls for an examination of your assumptions about what is ethical and what is unethical. What are toxic behaviors versus non-toxic behaviors and traits? How far are you willing to go to advance your core values and to do the right thing? Use your moral imagination in solving problems and dilemmas. So ethics also exists in cultural contexts, and what is the norm or accepted in one culture may be criticized in another. Example, the death penalty, which was eventually abolished. It would have been justified by persons, all right, so a life for a life, right? You, by taking a life, you forfeit your right to live. And then it would have like, okay, like Christians who would denounce this act because everybody is worthy of forgiveness unless they blaspheme against the Holy Spirit. So Keda identified 8 common values among 24 leaders from 16 different countries. And these common values were love, truthfulness, fairness, freedom, unity, tolerance, responsibility, and respect for life. Seligman identified 6 virtues common to more than 200 religious and philosophical traditions: wisdom and knowledge, courage, love and humanity, justice, temperance, and spirituality and transcendence. What is socially practiced and acceptable in one culture may be repudiated in another. This brings up the painful or perhaps sobering reality that there is no moral consensus in international affairs. Which I don't know if anybody wants to share their views on that, but ethics and morals differ not only among various countries but among individuals in the same country. Right, ethical theories and moral purposes. The leadership theory that includes a strong component of ethics and morals is James McGregor Burns' transforming leadership theory. Leaders and followers raise one another to higher levels of morality and motivation. Transforming leadership theory involves a desire to change something and expresses values and ideals such as peace, justice, fairness, liberty, equal opportunity, and people's general welfare. Alright, so you have a bookstore trying to get the attention of children to encourage them to read books. So, as an employer, a leader, can give the employee the resources and the freedom to create a kids area how best they see fit, because this employee used to work in a nursery. So, as you see the empowering thing, right? First, highlighted 5 characteristics of transformational leadership. A vision for what's ahead. Transformational leadership is about inspiring change. Leaders who utilize transformational leadership skills can see possibilities amongst a group of people and identify the steps needed to achieve our outcome. Having vision could be as simple as running a strategic planning session, or as grander as plastering your business values across an office wall. A desire to inspire. To inspire is to identify the motivations of an individual and encourage them to reach an outcome. As a transformational leader, you must understand what makes your team tick and motivate them to achieve the goal. Inspiring others as a business leader involves how you speak to customers, employees, and colleagues. People will see as being a role model, and again, you can't tell a person to be late if you always late. But your actions matter more. It is why people decided to work with you in the first place. Challenging the status quo. Transformational leadership elevates an existing position or solves a problem. In business, it materializes when an organization stalls or a specific industry requires a new solution. Your entire business idea could be centered around challenging the status quo. The key is to identify opportunities within your business and have the confidence to pursue them. Contagious confidence. Having confidence is a touchy subject when it comes to entrepreneurship. Some people have too much confidence while others don't have enough. Confidence comes from wisdom, not acting like you're God's gift to the earth. The more you see success in your business, or like just the overcoming of failures or strategies, the more confidence you'll gain and transfer among your team. Through transformational leadership, confidence comes from a moral standard that is accessible to everyone. Transformational leadership should ooze confidence across the organization, not just in the C-suite. Supporting and rewarding others. Because transformational leadership theory is about creating a set of shared values, you should be aware of others' beliefs and emotions. To be a successful transformational leader, you need to be a good listener. Rewarding people for performance and integrity reinforces that you care about the individual's contribution to a vision, and more importantly, that you care about who the person is. So, like, you have the award thing again, like Employer of the Month award, the phone cards, the movie tickets. Through listening and response, a supportive atmosphere will cascade across an organization from your actions. So, Whitney Wolfe Hood, Bumble. Bumble began as an alternative dating app focused on offering women a supportive and safe digital experience. It quickly became the second most popular dating app, as well as a trusted brand for women. So, Whitney Wolfe, she was the founder and CEO, and she had a vision beyond just dating. She wanted it to be a platform that supports women in all aspects of relationships, both like personal and professional. And now Bumble offers its users the ability to network for business and build friendships through the platform. So by challenging the status quo of dating apps, she transformed Bumble into a tech giant, that have a lot of attention. Transformational leaders have a core set of values that are consistent with their actions. There are several ways in which a leader can inspire others to higher levels of morality through influence and through modeling behaviors that become the standards for others to follow. Um, Modeling a moral purpose. If participants admire or identify with another member or leader, they will be more likely to imitate that person's behavior. Models in organizations can elicit ethical or unethical behavior, you know. So, like with respect to admiring leaders, okay. Organizational and community members can learn ethical practices by observing those who model these practices in their leadership approaches. So, for example, like an example of modeling behavior is for breast cancer awareness month. The owner of a bakery decide that they would have some breast cancer awareness themed cakes and pastries. And on every sale, people donate a percentage of the sale towards breast cancer awareness. So now they would inspire your workers to contribute, so if you can take this down, and then it could also be extend beyond the organization, like it will have other establishment following the same pattern. Um, Participants also model behavior that inspires leaders' ethical awareness. All right. Modeling also can have external effects that extend beyond organizational boundaries. Another form of modeling is when leaders or participants engage in discussions of ethical issues or bring up ethical dilemmas that can be resolved through an exchange of multiple perspectives. That's the end of my part of the presentation. I will now hand you over to Ms. Joyce. What is happening? Ms. Joyce, I can't pronounce your first name. Anybody hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Just a second. Let me just.
Renacia, you there?
Um, I think she coming on that somewhere, sir.
Oh, hello.
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Sorry, forgot to turn on the mic. Right, so moral talk. My name is Rennie Strice. Does anyone know what morals or ethics are? Nobody wants to answer or try to answer.
I believe that morals is something personal to you, and each person might different and differ differ in morals, and ethics is a standard that was set
Okay, great.
beforehand. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds right. So morals, simply put, are standards of behavior or principles of what can go right or wrong. They're basically our beliefs as individuals. So my morals on a certain topic would be different to someone else's morals, right? Ethic refers to rules provided by an external source. So most persons where you work, or if you're the school of that and all, um, the organization has ethics, school has ethics, different organizations have different ethics. Um, so moral talk, right? What I believe is that moral talk, um, not everyone has their own opinion, right? So not everyone would agree with your morals and vice versa. So in that instance, moral talk may be avoided by some individuals to avoid disagreements, right? Um, so we're going on to ethical decision making modes. Right. So ethical decision making modes provide a suggested medium for critical thinking and planning for the resolution of ethical dilemmas. There are five models of ethical decision making. They are the utilitarian approach. That's what benefits and what harms will each course of action produce and which alternative will lead to best overall consequences. The second one is the rights approach, right, which focuses on respect for human dignity. Fairness or justice approach. Anyone wants to or anyone has an idea of what that may be? Okay, so the fairness and justice approach, right? In the words of Greek philosopher Aristotle, he once said, "Equals should be treated equally, and unequals unequally." Does anyone agree with this? Okay. Um,
Are you talking about in terms of justice in the society, where we have to deal with the injustice and the justice, right? So you're
right.
talking about the fairness and
Yeah.
the justice, right? Good, cool. That's the
Okay.
approach. Right.
Right. So the common good approach. This approach assumes a society comprised, right, individuals whose own good is linked to the good of the community. Um, Virtue approach emphasizes the virtue of morals, characters, in contrast to the approach that emphasizes my God, what have I said? Or rules. Right. So, like leadership, ethics is not a clear concept. Ethical principles in business are the moral standards set by a company as a whole and individual employees within an organization. There are five ethical principles: respecting autonomy, doing no harm, benefiting others, being just, and being faithful. Right. So, anyone has any questions?
No questions.
Right. So, based on the entire topic of leading with integrity and moral purpose, is everyone clear? No questions based on the topics discussed? Okay, sir. That's it for our presentation.
Did you, by chance, go through the Kidder's principles for decision making, ethical decision making?
Yeah. The four dilemma model.
Yeah, that one.
Right. So Kidder 2005 provides a framework for examining right versus right choices using a four dilemma paradigm model. Right? This is justice versus mercy, fairness and equity, conflict with compassion, empathy and love. Short term versus long term, immediate needs run counter to future goals. Three, individual versus community, self versus others, or small group versus large group. And the fourth one is truth versus loyalty. Honesty competes with commitment, responsibility, or promise keeping. Right? Keda 1995 defines tough choices as those that pit one right value against another.
Any chance you could give us some examples or something like that?
Examples.
What and your buddy could help you here. What's an example of a dilemma that pits two correct values or two right values against each other?
The correct values. If I see someone doing something wrong in the organization or in the school environment, I could let them know right from wrong, or let them know that this is how it's supposed to be done. This is the ethics of the organization or the school.
No,
Right.
I'm talking about an issue that is facing you or somebody else that has two competing activities or two competing positions, but both of them are correct positions to take. So that's what a dilemma is. Remember, you just defined that. It's where you have two competing situations, but both are correct. How do you go about making a decision based upon the Kidder model that you just talked about there, the four dilemma paradigm model? And Samuel, you could join in here. I'm just trying to get some clarity here because this part is a little important.
I see.
So have any of you all ever faced a dilemma like that, where you have to make a decision where there are different things you can do? You can approach the situation, but either one would be correct, if you understand what I mean. So let's take, for example, you come across somebody who you know and that you're friends with and you're loyal towards, doing something that is not correct. Understand what I'm talking about here, right? Do you turn the friend in, or do you respect the loyalty of your friendship?
This
Let me put that real world situation.
it's kind of tough.
You're riding, buddy. You're ride or die, buddy. Renisha, that's
Yeah.
like your girlfriends, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. It's kind of tough.
Right. She having an affair, and you know about it. What you gonna do?
No, you can't use that as an example. There's a girl code.
No, that's the point. There's no Google code.
Right. Yeah.
You all can invent
Right
all kind
is
of
right.
rubbish. No, there's two right. What's the right thing? Do you confront her about the issue? Do you ignore the issue? What do you do?
No,
Those are the kind of situations that you find yourself in.
I
Like
would.
it's not gonna be right to extent. Like it will be right in different aspects of your life. Like
Right. And that's where the model comes in, because Kidder gives us a solution for it. There are three ways in which you can make that decision. You're either going to be rules-based, which means the rule is if you're with somebody, you're faithful to them, and regardless of
Right.
the outcome or the impact, I'm going to confront my friend about this issue, and where, forget about friendship, that kind of thing. Or you can choose to use the what's it?
Care-based thinking.
Care-based thinking, yes, where you care about it, and therefore what will you do in relation to that? Or you can use, what's the other one? What's the third one?
End-based.
End-based thinking. So you have rules-based, ends-based, and care-based. Those are the decision-making. Now, to be honest with you, there's never ever going to be a situation where it's very clear-cut which one you use, because it could be a combination of care-based and ends-based. You want the end mean you want to be loyal to your friend, but you also care about the other person that's involved in the situation. You understand?
Yeah.
So it may be a combination of those things when you're making decisions in relation to that. Okay. One other thing that another test, how do you know if you're doing something that is unethical or ethical, would be using the newspaper test. Did you see that in the text as well?
I can't
The
remember.
newspaper
Yes.
text.
the
Yeah.
newspaper. Yes,
Newspaper
sir.
test. Yeah. If you're doing something and you're unsure about whether or not it's ethical or not, think about if what you're doing is published as an article in the papers or the internet or wherever, if it's published somewhere. How would you feel about it if it was published? Would it be okay? And that would be a quick test as to whether or not what you're doing is ethically responsible or not.
Oh no.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what happens though when people don't confront, in organizations in particular, moral issues? What is that referred to?
I know what it is. Moral muteness.
Right. And that is a situation that faces a number of people in organizations, because they have problems talking about it. That makes sense?
Yeah, you some people have problems talking about things, as well as they see the problem, they see what is happening, but they don't want to talk about it.
Why? Why is
Because
that a problem?
So for example, the same previous situation with the like the scenario you give us with your friend cheating.
Uh-huh.
That going and cause a divide. Like it have the option of telling the other person. It have the option and risk losing a friend, which would be the right thing. But then they could keep your mouth, like it could be quiet.
Right.
because it
So
can
it
backfire
can
on you.
and it will cause like a divide because it's
Well,
not
right,
so
that makes
just to
sense,
stay
because
outside completely.
so when you confront ethical issues and you have discussions about it, it's a difficult discussion to have. And that is the problem. That's why a lot of organizations suffer from moral muteness, because they're unwilling to confront issues that they know will be an issue. And this is part of the whole thing about being ethical means being courageous, because regardless of how you might feel about something, these are things that you ought to confront and deal with, and kind of deal with it head on. All right.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's like with me at work. I would speak up on certain things, right? And other persons who have the same problem I do, right? We would talk about it amongst ourselves, but in a meeting environment, they wouldn't say anything, but I would speak up, right? So people will think I am crazy, or sometimes I feel as though I am victimized for what I say, even though I'm not lying. It's the truth I'm speaking.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
because it's either that they don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable, or it's something that is happening in the organization that people are trying to ignore. Now
It's
that
a
speaks to another part, a part of what Javon was talking about. Is it Javon? No.
Jovan.
Sam Jovan was talking about in terms of when your value systems, your personal value systems clash with organizational activities or procedures or policies, what do you do? And he had asked this question earlier. If that were to happen to you, what would you do? You'd either do one of three things. You'd either ignore it, you would either do like what Ms. Dryce does, you address it, and the third would be you'd leave it. You'd leave the organization because whatever is happening in that organization does not correspond with how you believe things ought to be. So if we go back to the gas station racket that he's talking about there, which in fact was something that was taking place here in some companies, some gas stations, if you're not aware of it. What they were doing, they would purposely allow the pumps to pump out what it says was $1 gas, but what was happening, it was actually pumping out 5 cents less. So it meant that the owners of the gas station were stealing 5 cents for each gallon of each liter of gas that they were pumping, which is unethical. Yes. And you found out about it. What do? Do you stay in the company because you benefit indirectly because you get paid a salary? Do you bring it up in a discussion with them and address it and risk the fact risk the thing of getting exposed by it or fired, or do you just leave the organization and don't say anything? And that is that moral muteness that we spoke about. But it can happen where you're working in an organization and you just don't agree with what they're doing. And one of the things, for example, that Javon talked about was that he just wouldn't buy gas there. But what, in essence, what you're doing, therefore, is you're ignoring the impact. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you guys for the anybody wants to ask any questions for clarification on this piece here? The reason why I kind of came in here was because they were leaving out some critical models there in terms of ethical decision making. And I wanted to get it because it's important for your midterm evaluations that this is going to be part of it. Did anybody want to get any clarification on anything from this group about anything that they did? Because this chapter features in your midterm reflections. No, if not, I will turn off the recording.